Good afternoon, Holly. How are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
Good, good, good. I'm so excited to see you. I know it's not the same since you are in New York these days and not
I
here in
know.
Chicago, but excited to have you for the Women in Tech and Their Money Stories series.
Well, I'm excited to be here.
Yay. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I'm Holly Glowaty. I am currently the Chief Partnerships Officer, which sounds made up, but I'll explain what that is, and co-founder at Prizeout. So basically, I'm in charge of all of our strategic partnerships. As Mel knows, I love people and I love figuring out how we can work together, problem solving. So it's kind of the ideal role for me. I get to basically get on the phone, meet people, and problem solve all day. So I love that.
Do you get a corporate credit card with this gig, and are you hiring?
We are hiring. We are hiring for lots of roles. And yes, as a co-founder, I do allow myself a corporate credit card.
Well, I mean, it just sounds like this would be a perfect job for me as well.
Come on board.
This is great. So for those of you who are watching our interview today, Holly and I had the pleasure of meeting 4 or 5 years ago through Women Tech Founders, which is a great organization based out of Chicago. We had a wonderful Valentine's Day celebration together at the Capital One Cafe. Remember that?
I still have my succulent.
Nice, nice. I was going through our pictures on my phone and I found the one of you with the rose in your mouth from that day. And I almost used it on LinkedIn, but I was like, I don't know. I got to get a permission on that first. But that was
use it for this one.
And that was literally right before the shit hit the fan. And all of a sudden we were locked down. Remember that? It was in 2020.
It was because you and I were like, oh, we'll meet up in March. And that was it.
No. And then you moved. And then you were like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I did. We started when the world started opening back up. I thought maybe I'll meet some of my team in person and come to New York.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, tell us a little bit about Prizeout, what they do, and what you said you're director of partnerships. So tell us more.
Yeah. So Prizeout's kind of interesting. We're kind of a three-sided marketplace, and so it's fun because, as Mel knows, my background is in gift cards, which, look, no one saw that coming. Who knew? Who knew your career could be in gift cards?
I love gift cards. Feel free
I do too.
Oh, feel free to send them.
Okay. That's not a problem. No, but so this is what Prizeout is. So like, let's say, we work with tons of different partners. We work with, actually one of my favorites is this company called Zayzoon, and it's earned wage access. So like if you are someone who maybe works hourly and wants access to their money on a more regular basis. So instead of waiting 2 weeks, you could get it in 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is. You can go there and withdraw it early without there being like some huge penalty. So it's really a way to keep people out of, payday loans and things like that, that are just a little more predatory.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Really cool. So we work with Zayzoon so that if you wanted your cash out early, you could actually say, hey, I want to take out 20 bucks, click the Prizeout button. And then it's mine and my team's job to make sure that when you come over to the Prizeout site, you are seeing tons of gift cards with bonus offers on them. Ooh. So let's say you knew groceries were what you needed. So you'll see a Kroger gift card with extra, maybe it's like 5% extra, or maybe you want to go and treat yourself, right? And so you'll see something for like GoPuff or for Nike or for, one of those like recognizable brands. So in the US, we have over 500 merchants on the platform. And then we also operate in Canada, the UK, Ireland, and then we're expanding into other countries right now. So
you guys are like badass.
It's fun. It's really fun because for the merchant, they're excited because they're getting customers, right? So it's a customer acquisition cost. And it's also a closed environment. So unlike, when you do when they're like, oh, do you have a promo code? You can't like search the internet and find this. Like you have to be coming from one of our partners to take advantage of these offers. So they like it because of that. Our partners like it because we don't charge them for the service.
And then how do you guys make money?
We take a little piece of whatever the merchant is offering. So it's a customer acquisition cost, basically.
Okay.
And then the consumer gets more for their money. So that's kind of the three-sided marketplace that we operate.
That's pretty cool. So it's a win-win.
It is. Yes. I love when people say that without me prompting them.
And for the record, she did not prompt me to say that.
Didn't.
And how long have you been with Prizeout now?
Just over 2 years, actually. Yeah. And before that, I was consulting for them in my former company. So that's kind of how we all met. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So you're growing with them now as you guys expand into other marketplaces. And I'm assuming you're always onboarding new partners.
Yes. So right now we're actually doing a lot with small banks and credit unions, which is really cool because there haven't been a lot of options for small banks and credit unions because, you know, maybe there's not a Target in town, or maybe, you know what I mean? Like the chains don't exist everywhere. That's true. So when you look at a lot of portfolios that involve gift cards, it's usually just large brands. And so one of the things I'm most excited about right now is we're working on getting in with regional and local, you know, grocery stores, retailers, coffee shops, you name it. And so we're working really hard on, you know, just kind of that strategy, which is a heavy lift. Honestly, there's a reason no one does it, you know, it's a lot of different technology out there. So you really have to figure out how are we going to work with all of these, you know, and some people, I mean, we've done things where it's like, you know, they don't have a point of sale system. They have a cash box still, and they write handwritten receipts. I mean, there's a lot to navigate.
I mean, I could see that. I covered the Deep South when I was in working for Goldman Sachs. So I could see, you know, with my travels down there to Podunk Town that, you know, Do you have the Piggly Wiggly account?
Dude, Piggly Wiggly is big.
No, that's hysterical.
The great grocery store.
But you know what? I mean, it sounds to me like this also gives an opportunity to support local businesses.
It does. Yeah.
And that is, you know, near and dear to my heart. I know, you know, prior to Prizeout, you had your own business, and I know you understand what it's like to be an entrepreneur and the roller coaster of fun times that can be.
Oh yeah. And especially coming out of COVID. I mean, it feels so unpredictable right now for so many businesses. It's like, I mean, to go from not having inventory to too much inventory, now having to figure out how to store it. There's just, it's crazy right now.
Yeah. I can't imagine. So why is it that Prizeout is based in New York and not in Chicago?
So while
will you be opening an office here soon?
That I would like to say yes. Well, so the people who originally came up with the concept for the company were all here kind of in New York. And so then they pulled me in as a co-founder, and it was sort of me and one other person who were in Chicago. And so when we opened back up, it was just the office was here, and they're all very diehard New Yorkers. It was me against everyone else, I think. Don't worry, Chicago, I'm coming back. Good,
I hope so.
I can't leave it.
That's too funny. All right, so obviously you've been around for a couple of years, and so I'd love to hear about some of the successes that you're most proud of, or accomplishments that you would want to share with our ladies in our audience as well.
Yeah. I mean,
when I read your bio, I mean, I was like, this woman's like, she's just a powerhouse. I'm like, now I need to go back and rewrite mine and add some fluff to it or something.
I don't know. I think the thing I'm most proud of is that I actually took the leap to start something on my own, because it was probably the scariest thought I'd ever had. And I remember after I decided to leave the company I was at the time, I woke up with cold sweats, like, what am I doing? This is so dumb. Go get a job. You know what I mean? Because there was this waiting period where the woman that I was co-founding our consulting firm with, she had to leave a job. So there was this little limbo period where we couldn't do work together really. And so, but then once we were actually able to start working on the company, I mean, everything from filing the LLC to coming up with a name to whatever, having work to do made it feel real. And I was like, okay, I can handle this. You know what I mean? It's like the thought is way scarier than actually doing it. I think.
Absolutely. And the amount of stuff that you learn,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
whether it's, excuse me, whether it's like Canva and how to build a logo. I mean,
Yes.
it took me a week. I'm not lying when I was
Yeah.
like, the software couldn't be any more confusing,
Yeah.
like the LLC legal paperwork. Like, I mean, all these things that you like never used in, I mean, you never got the skills in college, you never got the skills
No.
in corporate, right? And then all of a sudden you're like going down the rabbit hole and with Google trying to figure out like how to do these things.
Yes.
I think that was kind of exciting.
I loved it.
Right?
And like, you learn how to just, I don't know, you just kind of learn how to get scrappy. And I think there are just skills I was never going to learn if I hadn't done this. So like, what's funny is I was a theater major, actually. So, theater.
It's a fun fact of the day.
Yes, it is. I tell people that, they're like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It totally does.
You seem like a real wallflower there, Hall. I'm like, yeah. But here's the thing that I didn't realize until I started a business. Being in theater, every time you do a show, it's like having a mini startup.
Mhm.
You have to like pick a cast. So it's like hiring everybody. You have to have someone who's going to be able to get everyone to work together. So you have your director and your CEO. You have to sell tickets. There's your sales.
Yep.
Like, I mean, you know what I mean? And then you have to figure out, what's this product? Is it good? Are people going to like it? How do we market it? So I realized that like my love of creating a show and just the whole package really translated well into being an entrepreneur, but I've never really kind of put all that together.
That's a really cool analogy.
Right? Like, it's one of those things I was like, oh my gosh. And like, honestly, being a theater major, you're like prepared to eat ramen and nothing else to starve for your art. So you're very prepared for what startup life is in the beginning.
Well, I have a question now. Can you also still look for like work as an actress as well?
Oh my gosh, I don't, but I did do some sketch comedy shows in Chicago when I was starting when I was starting K+H. It's honestly, it's like if you were ever a runner and stopped running, it's like you got to kind of work back up to it. So I definitely need a class again.
I can appreciate that for sure.
Yeah.
That's somebody who's in that boat right now as we speak.
I hear you. I went running and messed up my knee immediately. So I was like, oh, good.
You're supposed to like ease back into it, Holly. You're supposed to like jog.
Right. I'm also not great at following rules.
Right. And that's why we're best friends now. Okay. So then along the way, I'm sure you've learned a few lessons.
Yes. I think when you start your own company, kind of like we were saying, there's so much to learn. You actually learn to ask questions. And I know you and I were talking about this before, but I think that was probably like the thing I wish I would have given myself permission to do way earlier in life is not, and I don't know, and again, like I talk with a lot of women about these things. And I think a lot of us are always afraid that if we don't look like we know everything, that like we're going to be in trouble. You know what I mean? Or that like someone's not going to trust us
Absolutely.
to do the job.
I mean, it's even as we think about like negotiating for a salary or like, starting a new job and asking for more than what they're offering us. Right. So you're absolutely right. I mean, it goes all the way back to that, something as simple as that, for sure.
It totally does. And so I think for me, it's been, it kind of like forks off into like two things. Number one, giving myself permission to ask questions and say, I don't know. But then number two, allowing myself to become specialized. And I think a lot of us fear that if we're not broad and people can't like, there aren't a million ways to work with us, that we're going to miss out on business. But it's the opposite. It's like, once you have your niche, people know what to come to you for. And I did not learn this lesson until I had one person in particular say, I've been trying to figure out how to work with you guys for years. And it was like this light bulb went off. I was like, oh, we're trying to boil the ocean. Got it. And it's like,
no, you need to be in the pond, not the ocean. Right.
Exactly. So once we got really specific, that's when people could find me, could ask me questions, and I could get really specialized with, well, gift cards of all things. And it's been, I mean, it's been really
Why not?
fun, you know,
Yeah,
why
why
not?
not?
Exactly. Who else is doing that, you know? I know them all. We all know each other.
Right? No, it's true. It's true. I mean, and you bring up a good point. I mean, we've read a million marketing books about how you need to specialize, right?
Yeah.
And you know, especially in my role where I'm in a business that is, or an industry where there's a million people,
Yes.
and it's like, how do I distinguish myself from, you know, all the other financial advisors out there? And, you know, we could even lap in, you know, mortgage people and insurance agents, and right. I
Yeah.
mean, like, you know, and then it's like finding that niche. And that's kind of one of the reasons why this series started, was like, you know,
Yeah.
who else is working with women in tech? And I'm like, well, I am,
Yeah.
you know.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
you know, I mean, and it's been very fruitful, and I've loved all the women that I've met through this, you know, experience too. So
Gosh, and you know what? That's another thing. I think there's this myth out there that like women don't want to help women. I have, like, right now we're recording, I'm at Chief, which is a network for women who are like VP level and higher. And they have an office in Chicago, in Fulton Market. There's one here in New York. I come here and I meet so many awesome women every day. We're in our network. We're like, you know, constantly like sending each other, you know, oh, hey, there's this opportunity, or, oh, are you looking to hire someone? I know somebody. And it's, you know, so I'm there. I have a women in incentives network. Gift cards often go into like incentive programs and things. And I found more support from these groups. WTF, that's how we met, right? Like women tech founders, FinTech women in both New York and Chicago for me. And then, you know, I used to run a group called FinFoundHer, where I helped, it was me, Kristen Fox, and then Kristen Theory founded this together. And it was basically because we realized everyone was teaching women how to pitch, but not like, when you look under the hood, what should be happening with your company so that you can actually get funding, and like, what's good money, what's bad money. But it's just like, it's these networks of women where I feel like I find a lot of peer mentoring support and some really, really great friendships like ours, right? Like, I feel like I could call you for pretty much anything. And I've met more awesome women that I consider really dear friends, and who've actually given me a lot of courage as well, more so than me feeling like I'm competing with them. And I think that's something else I learned. I was like, where did this come from? Because like, it is not my experience. Yes, there's always an outlier, right? Always, right? But I don't know, like, I have more fun, like, in these groups, in these networks. And I think that's the thing I missed the most during COVID, honestly, was that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think being an entrepreneur, it's great to have, you know, sidekicks, if you will, because everyone's in a different part of their journey, and we all come from different backgrounds, and we can learn so much from each other.
Totally.
You know, I mean, I just think about, and I think this is a tip that I would throw out as a lesson learned for anybody that's watching this and is considering the path of entrepreneurship. Build your tribe. Like, I know it's kind of a, you know, I think it's kind of quirky, but it's the truth. Have somebody that you can go to a co-working space with once a week, that get you out of the house, that, you know, you can bounce ideas off of, that just kind of keeps you sane while you're going through the process of figuring it out, you know. And I'm so grateful to all the women, including yourself, that I could do that with. I mean, you know, and I miss that I can't do that with you. You know, maybe I'll go to the Capital One Cafe. We'll get on a Zoom and we can just still co-work together.
Yes. But it's so true. Like, your network is, it's one of those things that, like, you can't put a value on it. You just can't.
Yeah.
And I think I hate the myth that, you know, someone is self-made. That is one of my least favorite terms. I'm like, there's no way you did it without the support of others. And it's just that. It's just that, like, I think it then puts in someone's mind that they can't ask for help. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I have nothing wrong with, you know, being self-made. I think that's super cool.
And I just say that earlier when you said, you know, lessons learned, ask questions. Yeah. And I think a further part of that, or a subset of that, is ask for help.
Yes.
You know, and that's not something we were really ever taught to do.
No. I will say learning to ask for help was probably my hardest lesson. But then once I learned that, and like once I was able to like delegate and learn to, I guess, look for certain qualities in other people.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, it changed my business. It changed how I work, changed how I used my time. And it also made me learn to trust others a little more, which I didn't think I was untrusting. But I could, my control freak and perfectionism, like just really would slow me down. And like, if you want to move fast and you want to innovate.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally get that. So switching gears, tell me what kind of, and tell our audience, what kind of tips, maybe money tips along the way that you have found to be worthwhile to share.
So I will look at this from a couple of perspectives. So
that can be personal money, that can be from an entrepreneurial standpoint, it can be from a corporate business owner.
Awesome. I think.
And if you can get all three, then you get a gold star.
What? Oh my God. Okay, here we go. So I gotta say, one of the things that I never considered until I was doing the FinFoundHer thing was that there is such a thing as bad money that you can take if you're raising money, if you're looking to get a loan. I think the Shark Tanks of the world have made us all think like, oh, you should just take the investment if you need the money.
Not necessarily always the best option.
No, maybe you don't need to go for VC money, and what's the difference between having a VC or someone who's private equity or getting a loan or, like there's so many options. And I don't think that there's enough education on that for business owners. But part two is it made me learn how financially illiterate I was about my own finances. And I still feel like, and that became part of getting out of my own way and saying like, I need to ask questions of professionals like you and say like, what should I be doing? Like, what does this mean? I don't think we have, I can't speak for other countries, but in the US, financial literacy is just like, it's terrible.
It's terrible. In fact, I just read that like the fifth state finally passed financial education in high school. And I'm like, finally, rah. But like the fifth state?
That's it.
How sad is that? I mean, I would be in such a better spot in my life today if somebody would have sat down and taught me the basics, like the foundations, right?
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Like I think about my first job when I was looking at insurance and then I worked for a university. So I didn't have a 401k. I had a 403b.
Right.
And I was like, what? Like, I was just so confused. I was like, what is an HMO? What is you know what I mean? Like just all this stuff, because it all plays into what's happening to your paycheck. And like, why is that not there? So I think, again, just ask those questions so you set yourself up for success in the long run and understanding what like matching meant. Like, I've never had anything like my 403b. I didn't know I was spoiled then. I was.
For those tuning in right now, when you become an entrepreneur, you A, don't have any funds to put into a retirement account, and then B, you learn about this thing called a SEP IRA.
Yes, you do.
But that's like way down the road. Like
that's way down the road.
Like 5 years down the road once you've made it.
Yes, exactly.
But you bring up a really good point. I mean, not all money is good money. Kind of, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and the amount of funds that they take in for what they're trying to accomplish, A, blows my brains first and foremost, but B, I'm like, that means you have to either pay this back, or they've taken like half of your company in ownership. And I think that's the point you're trying to make, is that kind of like, you got to do your research. You got to read the fine print. You got to understand, if I take on this $500,000, it's not a gift.
No,
right?
No,
it's not like, hey, thanks.
Hey, bye. You'll probably never talk to me again. Right? Oh no,
right?
No, they want to know what's happening with their money.
Yeah.
I
think there is major, yeah, major work that needs to be done there as far as being, people need to be more educated and they need to take the time and understand how that money works, right?
Exactly. And I mean, the thing is it's just like, we have such like a complicated financial system in the US, you know, like I focus on one tiny payment. I focus on gift cards, and all 50 states have different rules and regs around it. And, you know, it depends on if it's a Visa card. You know, most people don't know that, you know, if it's a Visa, MasterCard, Amex, one of those like open loop cards, you know, there could be fees on that if you don't use it. So you could be losing money. Whereas, you know, one hot tip for everybody is if it says gift card or gift certificate on something in the US, it cannot expire if it is like a branded gift card. So someone tells you your gift card has expired, they are wrong.
Okay, hold on now. Let's take this one step further. What about my drink coupons on Southwest?
Ah, those are different.
Okay.
Those are, yes, coupons or credits, or it's all there. There's the semantics matter.
All right, see, this is why I asked the follow-up question.
I know.
I want to know if I could be that person on the flight when I'm like, hey, I know it expired last year, but you should honor it.
Look, no, nah, the way they've titled the product actually matters. So, but there's things like that where, you know, but even people who run the businesses don't know, like they might think they can expire these things because before the Card Act happened, you could. So there's just little things like, I mean, if the gift card has that much ambiguity about it, imagine the rest of our payment systems and financial networks and institutions, right?
And that's a rabbit hole we could definitely go down.
We could. I'm just going to stay above it a little bit because.
But I would have to think, and correct me if I'm wrong, companies make a lot of money. I corrected myself there.
Well done.
From people that don't cash in their gift cards.
Yes and no. So technically, so depending upon what state you're in, your state might require that it's becomes unclaimed property, and then you have to escheat it to the government. So then technically, but even though, because it technically never expires, a merchant's supposed to also be able to like always honor the gift card and keep that cash on hand. So it's like, there's this idea that like, it's like really complicated, like the accounting that can happen on the back end. But there is this idea that like, oh, we just get to keep it. So when people were buying gift cards during the pandemic for small businesses, I was like, oh my God, go spend it.
Right. That is the whole purpose. I think the takeaway message here today, folks, is that if you get or give a gift card, please use it.
Yes. There's my gift card PSA. Boy, I worked one in. Didn't think I was gonna, Mel, but I did it.
You did it. And I think you hit on all three of the money tips as well. So I think that's pretty cool too. Yeah.
Is that like shoot across the screen, or do I get that mailed to me?
Yeah, you know, I will mail it to you. Actually, I actually have stars for my clients because when, you know, they accomplish something exciting, I want them to be acknowledged, and it's kind of a nod to like when we were kids and you got like a star in elementary school, like shit.
Obviously, it's motivating. So.
You know, I mean, when I do what I do, you know, I gotta find a way to make people want to actually talk to me again. So. All right, so Holly, as we wrap up here, tell us, where can we find you, and is there anything that you wish to tell us about Prizeout or one of your other organizations?
Yeah, okay. So I'm probably most active on LinkedIn, so you can find me there. You know, if you find me on Instagram, it's mostly pictures of my dog. So, you know, whatever, if you're into that, there you go.
I think most people like put pooches. Yeah.
Yeah. That's basically all I do is brag about my dog. But then, yeah, find me on LinkedIn. I will respond. I'm always happy to have a chat with people. And
then
then
that you guys are hiring. So obviously go to Prizeout website.
Yes. Go to prizeout.com. Yes, prizeout.com, Prizeout. And then hold on. Yeah, down at the bottom of the page, you'll see careers. Click there. If you do look at something and you're interested, ping me on LinkedIn. I'll respond. So yeah, it's fun. We raised 25 million. So we have some funding, we're expanding, and it's an exciting time.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Thanks.
You started the beginning of that.
I know. it's one of those things that's like such a long road that when it happens, you're like, oh yeah, it's done.
That's fantastic.
Now the work really begins.
Well, and it's a testament that what you're doing is important work,
Yeah.
right?
Especially now, like getting people a little more for their money makes a big difference. So, yeah, I mean, I would say, you know, again, to get any of our deals, you do have to come through one of our corporate partners.
Okay.
So, you know, I can't really offer anyone anything right now unless they're with one of our corporate partners, and that is a long list. But if you see the Prizeout button for your cash out, come check us out. Click it. You're going to get more for your money. But yeah, so, you know, I think that's it.
I think you
Come
got
work
it
with
all.
me.
You got the jobs, you got the LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So, well, this was awesome. I really appreciate your time today, and I'm really excited that you shared your story with the ladies in our audience. And thank you again for being a part of the Women in Tech and Their Money Story series.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.